Good morning.
Good morning, Press. Hey, Press, with the way McManus is kicking, when you get to his spot and you know that you got 3 points in your pocket, does that change your play calling in any way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our kick line's probably a little further than most people just because he has a big leg. We're always continuing to try to score, but it certainly helps influence some things. I mean, you've probably seen on 3rd and 15, we're in that fringe range where we know a 6-yard gain, you have a 18% chance of converting 3rd and 11 plus, and all of a sudden, if we can get ourselves 6 yards, he has a 60% chance of making a field goal. That's huge for us in the way we play and the way we operate. So there's certainly things that it influences, how we do certain things or where we're trying to get, what our kick line is, but yeah, it's a good weapon to have.
Are there times you'll be more aggressive and times you might be conservative like you just talked about?
Yeah, I think everything's case by case, but yeah, there's certainly instances where we're always kind of trying to play the odds of us converting on. I think there's been a couple times where we've had I think back to Pittsburgh at least. I know there's one we ended up in like a 3rd and 16 situation where you just want 8 yards. We get 8 yards, we got a chance to kick a field. Maybe it's a catch and run, we get the first, but if we're sitting try to hold the ball, get everybody past the sticks, the odds of us converting are less than 15%, but 8 yards gives us 3 points. So now, yes, it affects that, and we're trying to call things that give us catch and run opportunities, but we're more willing to settle for just check down completions.
So, you might know the head coach on the other sideline, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
What's the Taylor Bro Bowl trophy mean to you?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. It was something that was cool. We were both kind of quality controls or assistant position coaches, whatever it was. So it was a fun way for our family to kind of be involved and us talk a little trash. And now it's just kind of something that only gets brought up really this time of year. We may randomly think about it every so often and see if my dad updated it, but that's really all it is. It's just kind of a fun thing for our family. But
are you in charge of tickets this week?
I'm never in charge of tickets. My wife is. I couldn't necessarily tell you who's coming, when they get here, anything like that. My wife is a saint, handles all that for me in season. So.
Will any of your kids go to that game? I mean,
Too late.
2 of them won't. But.
No, too late. All of them are. No, there's no way. Nobody wants them here past 9 o'clock at night. So, no.
How often do you and Zach talk during the season?
Sometimes it'll be twice a week. Sometimes we won't talk for 3 weeks. It's just kind of, we're pretty much on a very similar schedule. So we try to talk on the drive home is kind of where we reach each other. I'm not going to answer my phone when I'm at home because I'm at home. If I'm in a meeting, I'm not going to answer here. So he's the same way. So there may be times it just didn't work out. We didn't talk. Maybe we'll text here and there. But if we get a chance on Fridays or something driving home until we get to the house, we'll catch up or something like that.
But no talking this week, right?
No talking this week. No.
3rd and 8 and longer.
What do you remember from your time as a GA at Tulsa?
Oh, man. I remember meeting my wife. That was probably my most significant thing. I remember I was in a house. I lived in a 3-bedroom house with 3 other GAs, so there's 4 of us. So one guy just lived on the couch. He paid less. He probably paid $100. We paid $400. We would take the golf cart from work to our house and eat lunch there because nobody had money to eat lunch. So we'd just always go home to eat there. But I remember working for Bill Blankenship was the head coach at the time, the way he treated people. I knew I wanted to get into coaching. I love football. But being around him and the way he treated his staff and the way he built his staff just really stirred everything I thought or I hoped would happen for me of wanting to get into a career in coaching. I remember that, and we won a lot of games. We had a lot of really good teams when we were there.
So is he probably one of the more influential guys?
I would say so.
And one of the most important stops of your career?
Yeah, probably early on. And honestly, I've worked for 4 head coaches. If any one of those 4 ever called me today, I'd go work for them because they're all great people. Not everybody can say that in their career of their boss. All the 4 bosses I've had, I would go work for in a heartbeat. I loved every single one of them.
3rd and 8 and longer is obviously not a high odds for anybody to convert.
Right.
But you guys had really, really struggled incredibly bad. And last week it kind of flipped. You doubled the amount of 3rd down conversions from 8 yards or longer from the whole season. I'm just wondering what was different last week, or is it just happenstance and just one of those weeks you just hit it?
Yeah, I think, again, it's always case by case. There's plenty of times with this season, more so than we had last season, where we're in 4-minute mode and we're willing to run the ball. We're in 13 personnel running the ball on 3rd and 8. We know we're not converting. I think we've had 3 or 4 of those. We've had some drops. We had a drop the other day on 3rd and 15. It's been a number of issues here and there, but we look at everything case by case. Did we have the right call? Did we practice it against this look? What happened? Why did things go wrong? That's something we continue to address everything. If there was one glaring thing, we'll fix it, we'll get it corrected, we'll make sure, whether it's scheme, whatever it may be. There's also times where, like I mentioned, the Pittsburgh game, it's 3rd and 16, where if we get 8 yards, we have a 72% chance of making a field goal. If we throw incomplete, we have a 12% chance. So we're more willing to just put the ball in play, maybe not be as aggressive to not get any chance of points, where now we have the ability to get 3. And so there's certain times where you play based on the situation of the game, the weather, whatever it may be, where your decision-making changes at times.
When you look at the stat sheet after a game, what do you prioritize in terms of what makes an offense look good to you? Is it chunk plays? Is it third down conversions? What
Scoreboard.
categories start?
Honestly, it starts scoreboard. I mean, did we do enough to win the game? Did we help our team win the game? Were we the reason we lost the game? It's always that. So that's honestly where we start. I mean, there's some games where I could explain to you why we were 1 for 3 in the red zone. I mean, there's games where you could explain why you're 4 for 13. You had a bunch of 4-minute runs in third down, and certain things happen. There are certain barriers. I think there's some combination of explosive plays, negative plays, turnover margin that are always going to be factors in wins and losses. You just win the turnover margin, you have a 70% chance to win a football game. That's a big thing. Then we go into, all right, how do we control the football? What is it? Just giveaways, takeaway. We present this number to our players every single week of as it changes week by week across the season, what those numbers reflect. Score, turnover margin, explosive plays, inefficient plays, or negative plays. That combination, I think, is always kind of the key that we start with.
Russ, how delicate is the balance to and the usage of Travis? I think he's on pace now for 330-something touches. Is that an okay number one? But now that you know, or you have a good feel that you could be playing some extra games in January, like how delicate is that?
I think it's like any player. You want to use them the right amount where they're still effective without hindering the long-term, I guess, process throughout the course of the season. So, as guys accumulate some bumps and bruises as this thing goes, you may see their usage get toned down a little bit. But at the same time, we got to do whatever we got to do to win the game. So guys understand that. I mean, sometimes it is impossible to pull these guys off the field at times, knowing, all right, them at 80% is not as good as so-and-so at 90%, whatever it may be. So we're constantly working with the training staff to evaluate where those guys are, but constantly working with the players to get them to be honest with us and for us to communicate with them. That's one of the biggest things I found with these players is you're able to communicate throughout the course of the week what the plan is, and then you stick with your word. They're all on board. So maybe, hey, we've noticed you're banged up a little bit based on what the run game looks like, pass game looks like. We're thinking it's going to be more of this type of stuff or that type of player, or here's your rotation. And then if we can stick to that, you get buy-in and you continue to gain trust throughout the course of the season.
If you and your brother, you guys have never coached together, would you want to coach together, or would that be oil and water at all?
Yeah, I don't know. There'd obviously be a lot of fun. I mean, that's my older brother. That's somebody I look up to. It'd be awesome to spend a lot of time with them, sit in a room and just talk football with that person all the time. But there's also some dynamics I think that would make it challenging. And that's, honestly, it's never come up with us. So we were never in a position where we felt like that was best for either of us at the time. And it'd be a fun thing to happen if it ever happened, but I don't think we'd ever force it to happen. So.
Hey, Bress, where's the short yardage offense right now, and how do you see that improving in the final 6 weeks?
It's been hit and miss, honestly. I mean, there's things we could do better, whether it's scheme, execution, play call, personnel usage. There's a lot of things that could continue to be better, and that's something we continue to work on. We spend a lot of time in our game planning process of making sure we're trying to put the best people in the best position to do what they do really well. It's something I think we'll continue to try to improve on as we go, no matter where you are. And until you're 100%, you want to continue to make that number as good as it could be. I do think over the course of the last couple of years, I think short yardage conversion percentages continue to go down across the league as teams get better at understanding when teams quarterbacks sneak and different looks and presenting different fronts, and then the complements to the fronts. That's the fun part of this game. Is it used to be if there's an open A gap, you're going to sneak it. And that was the Patriot way. Everybody, they were 92%. Well, they didn't sneak it if it won the right look. So they snuck it versus primary looks. Then everybody started getting the double tight look, and now they started running off tackle. Now you're getting the double tight look to prevent quarterback sneaks, but they're getting out charged where they're really playing B gaps from A gap position. So it's the cat and mouse game that continues to go into every single snap. That's the fun part of this.
Is that what you saw from Trevor's putting the ball over the line, versus the 4th and 1 right before, or the 1st and 1 right before the
Yeah,
before halftime?
Yeah, I think the front was different. I think on both of them. Obviously, the front that he snuck the first one, I think it was a jam front. He went over the top of the center right there. And then we were gapped out on the other one where they were in a goal line personnel because we were in a goal line personnel. They had us gapped out. We would try to run a play that we've been pretty successful with here for 2 years that, they made a tackle on the goal line, got us stopped.
Do you have any second thoughts on that play? Like running that play? The one that you did run?
No, I think our process of what caused us to call that play was a good process. I mean, I understand we're always going to be judged off the result of every single play. If you run it and it doesn't work, you should have thrown it. If you threw it to that guy and he didn't catch it, you should have thrown it to that guy. But, we want to be process-oriented and a results-oriented business, understanding the results matter. But, I think we can get back here and justify how we got to this call and what we thought. And if we face a certain look, is there something we can do better in the future? So continue to learn and grow as we go.
Did you want a better block and it go to the edge?
Did I want a better block and go to the edge?
Yeah, did you want Travis to go for the pylon if you had a better block there?
We've seen it different ways. I think we ran it at Pittsburgh. We had one last year at Vegas, I think, where he cut inside. So it's played out different times over the course of having run that play, I think. But we kind of let Travis be a ball carrier and go as he goes. And ultimately, we'd probably like to finish it a little bit better and then him be able to work the one guy a little bit cleaner. But I think everybody we could do a little bit better. We could put him in a better position as play callers.
Thanks, Chris.
Cool.
Thanks, Chris.
Good.
So I gotta ask, are you gonna make that trip for bowls this week?
No. I just had my son send me the link, and I'll be watching it tonight on hopefully on my phone.
You got the gritty, not pretty hoodie on. Do you feel like that describes your defense? Do you like that?
As a defensive coach, you always want to be gritty. You never want to be pretty. That's for the offense. And I think especially Foyer and his foundation, it says a lot about our team and our defense.
Like, what stands out about Browning on tape, and how difficult is it for, he only has a limited amount of tape to look at?
It's difficult, but, you can find tape. You can go back and make sure you find a bunch of reps. But the thing about him, he's mobile. We just faced one last week, and, another guy that can move around in the pocket and buy time. And he has a bunch of weapons, and, it's unknown for him and it's unknown for us. So it'll be a good challenge for us.
You remember your first Monday night game as a player?
It was actually a preseason game. And I think it was, I want to say the 49ers in Cleveland Stadium. I had a pick six.
That's what you remember.
Yeah, I had a pick six. Yeah. And I think it got called back. But I did run to the camera in the back of the end zone. So it was, at least the people back in Tennessee got a chance to see me.
You mentioned their weapons. What type of player is Jamar Chase, and how impactful can he be for that team?
He's a guy that you just call him a guy. He's a guy that he's a dude on their team. He's a dude in the league. He's a guy that you have to know where he's at all times. You have to make sure you have a bunch of people around him because he's going to, make incredible catches. He's good with the ball in his hand after the catch. So he's a guy that he's a guy. Yeah.
I know that Tyson is working his way back. How challenging could that be on the back end if he can't go, and then also that they have other players on their team who can, be just as impactful as Chase?
It's a big challenge. They do have a bunch of weapons, and, we'd love to get Tyson back. He's working his way back. But, again, you look at the guys that have had the opportunity to step up with Buster and Greg Jr. They've done a great job for us. So if they get another chance, we'd be excited to see them go out there and play. And we know got a bunch of confidence in those guys.
Obviously, Josh Allen's playing at a high level, but how much is the play of Trayvon Walker maybe overlooked on the other side? How much does that help Josh and vice versa, those guys together?
I think it goes together. We always talk about pass rush and coverage go together. But when you're rushing, you have to have someone on the other side that's collapsing the pocket, and the two guys inside also. Those guys, it all goes together. When you rush by yourself, there's too many lanes for the quarterback to get out. So I think the guys are doing a good job of rushing as a unit, and it's paying off. Nope, that was it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Mike.